wild Charlie appears. Whew. It's the beginning of the semester, so I'm kind of a mess, but yeah, it's actually going really well, I think. I'm really enjoying at least some of my classes. And we, oh my gosh, combat class, we're using swords, and swords are amazing, and I love them. So yeah, that's my new favorite way to do like activity, which never happens because I don't like doing activity, but whatever. So yeah, beyond I started classes, I didn't really. Sorry, this is going to be jiggling all over the place because I'm filming with my laptop because I have a script that I want to read to you guys on my computer because I have this. My school does these things called Finding Your Voice workshops, which are basically mini classes about one specific thing. And there's this one for stand up comedy that I really want to audition for, and I'm super excited. And it depends on a number of other factors, but I figured, you know, stand up comedy being where I am probably going to live the next few years because I have no tolerance for crap from anybody. And that doesn't work very well in this industry because you gotta be able to take crap from everybody. And I'm just, not there for it. I figured, even if I don't end up doing the comedy workshop, I wanted to write some stand up comedy. So I figured, who's a good audience for that? You guys. So I was thinking of a story to audition for the stand up comedy workshop for. I was trying to think of a story I hadn't told you guys. And I came up with the story of the pastrami sandwich. So, when I was 16, my college's choir went to New York City to perform at Carnegie Hall. This was like a lifelong dream come true for me, so I wanted to make the absolute most of it. And, of course, I was calling home to tell my mom and my dad about my adventures most every night the entire week. It was the first time I'd been on a trip without them. On the last night of the trip, my dad says to me over the phone, "Now, did you get a pastrami sandwich from a Jewish deli?" I told him that no, as a matter of fact, I hadn't. And he says to me, "Oh man, you gotta make sure to get a pastrami sandwich from a Jewish deli before you go." Now, at this point, I was packing up to go home the next day. I'm a chronic over-preparer. I always think I'll need more time than I do to do things. But by the time I can actually go hunt down a pastrami sandwich from a Jewish deli, it's like midnight. But I, intrepid 16-year-old that I was not to be deterred. So I guilted my friend into coming with me on a spin around the surrounding, 4 blocks. Nothing. Nada. Zip. All of the delis were closed. But I'm a determined little snippet, so I did some Googling and I realized that there's this really famous deli and it's going to be open at 8 in the morning the next day. And I think to myself, great! The bus to the airport leaves at noon, so I'll have time to walk over there, eat, and come back. So I set my alarm for 6 a.m. After the ensuing 4 or so hours of sleep, I set off on my adventure. I walked 30 blocks to that deli. I walked through construction and muck and large groups of pigeons. I walked for 2 hours, but finally, at 8 a.m., I reached the deli. And as I walked up to the door, pastrami sandwich so close I can taste it, I see the sign saying that the deli isn't open until 11 a.m. Cue internal screaming. See, this deli had 2 locations. The original deli, the one that became famous, which is the one I intended to go to, and this newer one, which, for reasons unbeknownst to me, opened several hours later. Yeah, I have no sense of direction whatsoever. It's just a fact of my life. But I am Charlie Martin. I fought my way out of the Mormon church. I fought my high school for the right to take classes at the local community college. I even managed to convince my mom to let me keep a turtle I hadn't asked her if I could bring home. I can do anything, and nothing is going to stop me from getting the sandwich. At this point, getting the sandwich is no longer a matter of wanting a pastrami sandwich. It's a matter of principle. My morals are staked on whether or not I can get this sandwich. So I walk 40 more blocks to the deli's other location. By the time I arrive there, it is about 11 o'clock, and I'm starting to get worried about making my bus. So I run into the deli, and in the most aggressive tone I have ever used to order a meal with, I proudly declare, "My father told me I needed to get a pastrami sandwich from a Jewish deli, so I would like one of those, please." The poor man working at the deli counter just says, "Okay. Would you like to eat that here?" Still urgent and aggressive because I am running late, I say, "No, but thank you for asking." The nice man gives me my sandwich, and I celebrate. My quest is complete. Except, no, it isn't, because now I have to get back to the hotel. I start walking, and I get about 10 blocks before I realize that, contrary to my ambition, I can't walk the length of a New York City block in 1 minute. So I stand there for a second and think to myself, what does New York City have a ton of subways? So I find myself one of those, enter, buy a ticket, and sit down to wait. And wait. And wait. Then I figure since I'm waiting, I may as well eat the sandwich I went on this ludicrous quest to get. So I eat half of it. And I wait some more. And I wait some more. And then the train finally shows up. I get on the train, and it's not until this point that I realize that I, one, have no sense of direction, doy, and two, I'm on a notoriously difficult to navigate subway by myself, and I have no idea where I'm going. Now, at this point, you may be asking, Charlie, you moron, why didn't you get a cab? The answer is I had no money. I didn't have a debit card at the time, and I only had like $400 set aside for this trip, and I spent like $300 of that on a Tiffany bracelet. I know. 16-year-old me made bad decisions. But even so, all was not lost for 16-year-old me. Out of the muck and craziness of the New York City subway appeared woman with baby. My mother had always taught me that when I don't know where I am, I should ask someone I know or somebody else's mom. So when woman with baby appeared, I knew exactly what to do. "Excuse me, ma'am. I'm trying to get to the Hilton. Would you happen to know if I am heading in the right direction?" "Why, you poor thing, are you traveling all alone? The horror! Here, let me take you to your stop." Woman with baby literally rode with me all the way to my stop, about a block from the hotel. At this point, it's 10 minutes to noon, and I race down the block to my hotel. I rush into the lobby, and there, standing with all of the singers, is Scott, my choir director, who saw me and immediately gave me the look. You know, the look. It's that special, terrifying facial expression that all teachers seem to have perfected, which can mean only one thing. You are in deep, deep doo-doo. I try to explain to Scott exactly what happened, but at this point it's 2 minutes before noon, and I still need to grab my suitcase, so I dash upstairs, grab my bag, dash back down just at the stroke of noon, and I wait, and I wait, and I wait, and I wait, and I eat the other half of my sandwich, and I wait, and I wait, for 2 more hours. As it turns out, the bus that was supposed to take us to the airport was delayed by 2 hours, but that doesn't matter, because I had my sandwich. The reason I love this story in particular is that it proves to me exactly why I want to live in New York City. Because if I can go through all of this and everything else that happened that week and still say in complete and total honesty that that week was the absolute best week I have ever experienced, well, it's got to be a pretty damn spectacular city. Okay, so that piece is a bit long for the audition that I am doing. I will have to cut it. But yeah, that's the story of how I walked 80 blocks or so to get a pastrami sandwich. I figure it's a good story. It's wholesome. It doesn't involve any bad, terrible things happening. It's not self-deprecating. It's not taking jabs at people who deserve to have jabs taken at them. But let's face it, this isn't an industry that lets you take jabs, so I might as well not do it until I'm an established professional. Never mind, I'm going to do it later anyway, but yeah. Yeah, that is my video for today. I hope you enjoy it. See you all next Wednesday.